All right, Mrs. Erickson again, bringing seedless plants to you through some type of electronic device. So today's topic is going to be about seedless plants. So section 1, we ended with there are two types of plants, seed plants and seedless plants. And so we're going to talk about seedless plants first. So how are non-vascular, vascular seedless plants alike, and how are they different? So seedless plants, we'll start with the non-vascular seedless plants. Non-vascular means they do not have vascular tissue. Examples of vascular tissue, xylem, phloem. Xylem moves water, phloem moves food. And so they don't have specialized structures to move those items. So how do they move things? We're going to talk about rhizoids, but they tend to move things through diffusion and osmosis. So because they don't have any vascular tissue, diffusion and osmosis is their primary means of transporting water, sugar, nutrients from one cell to the other. And so they have to make sure that that concentration moves from a high concentration to a low concentration. Another unique thing about bryophytes, which includes mosses, liverworts, and hornworts, and I'll talk about these three specifically in the upcoming slides here, no roots, stems, or leaves. Also, no cuticle. You're probably thinking, wait a minute, Mrs. Erickson, I thought all plants had cuticle. Okay, these guys don't. They're an exception. They don't have roots. They have structures called rhizoids that help them anchor to a surface, and these guys can be unicellular or multicellular, so they kind of break the rules there. They live in moist environments, which makes sense because they don't have vascular tissue to move water and nutrients, so they got to stay close to water so they don't dry out. Also, no cuticle. And then reproduction by spores that require water. So again, another reason why it needs to be tied closely to water. So there are three types of bryophytes: mosses, liverworts, and hornworts. And so I'm going to talk about these three. Mosses tend to grow in shady, damp environments. I'm sure you guys know that. They do have these leaf-like structures, but they're not true leaves. And they can grow into stem-like structures called stalks. Their rhizoids are multicellular. And usually mosses are like the first kind of pioneer species to grow after a disturbance of some sort. So let's say a volcano erupts, you get lichen, and then moss will come in and break down those rocks into soil. So they're kind of like pioneer species. Liverworts, if you look at them, they look like lobes of liver, flattened lobes of liver. That's why they're called liverworts, and their rhizoids are unicellular. So with mosses, they were multicellular. Here, the rhizoids are going to be unicellular, which means made of one cell. Last group of the bryophytes, hornworts. Long horn-like reproductive structure that produces spores. So this horn-like shape inside produces spores. Another unique thing about hornworts, each photosynthetic cell just has one chloroplast in each of those cells. So hornworts are very unique in their structure. So that's non-vascular seedless plants. Moving on to vascular seedless plants. 90% of all plant species is vascular. Remember, vascular tissue is found throughout the organism. Stems, leaves, roots, because they're moving things from the ground up and from the leaves all the way down back to the ground. Vascular plants tend to be larger than non-vascular plants. So we're going to talk about some examples of some seedless vascular plants, and the big one is ferns. Ferns tend to grow in a variety of habitats. We don't really call them true leaves, we call them fronds, and they can curl up and form these fiddlehead-like structures. So fronds are leaves of ferns. Club mosses are another example of seedless vascular plants. They have roots, stems, and leaves. If you look at their leaves, they are scale-like. Another cool thing about club mosses, their spores are flammable. They're also used in fireworks. Okay, personal favorite, another seedless vascular plants, horsetails. Whenever I go hiking at a state park and it's kind of wet or marshy area, I see these guys everywhere, and they're really, really fun because you can like pull them apart, and they're hollow tubes on the inside. They basically look like nature's straws. They do have small leaves growing in circles around the stems, as you can see here, in here, in here. The tubes are hollow. You can like look down, it just looks like a straw. They do contain silica, which is kind of cool. Silica is, basically sand. And so in the old American West, they'd actually use horsetails as a scrubbing tool to clean out their utensils in their pots. But I love horsetails. I mean, you just pick them apart, and they're just really fun to play with. And my daughter loves them too. Okay, so that's it for today's lecture. Short and sweet. Seedless plants. How are they alike? Well, I sure hope that you say that they are plants and that they are considered seedless. They don't have seeds. They use spores. How are they? Oh gosh, I just had flipped those. I'm so sorry. So basically, I was just describing. Okay, they're alike that they both have spores. They're both seedless. How are they different? Non-vascular, hence no vascular tissue. They don't have xylem or phloem. They move their materials through diffusion and osmosis. Vascular tissue use the xylem and phloem, the tubes, the specialized tubes that move things up and down in a plant. So your assignment is the plant C questions, and there are, I know it looks like a lot, but really I kind of just like went through, the 3 examples of bryophytes. The characteristics, your book lists 7, you really only need to list 3. Where do you find mosses? Why are they called liverworts? What's unique about hornworts? What's the purpose of the horn-like structure? And then that Venn diagram where you just have to put one item in each circle. These questions are posted on Google Classroom. Please use those questions because I think I add a little bit more detail to the questions, and then submit it through Google Classroom. All right. Well, if you have any questions, contact me, email me, remind me, whatever, I'll get to you. And yeah, that's all I got.